Welcome to Lucid Dreaming on the Cube of Space with the Alchemical Cabala. So we've transversed now most of the outer currents of the cube of space. Here we are. We have one outer current remaining. Can someone please state what this path and key or current is?
That's the transition.
Yes, Jesse, thank you. It is. So excellent. Yes. So we've went around the cube, and this last current we have yet to travel on the outer edges is the key of transition. This is the current of noon, which in Hebrew means fish. Now, if you look at the path, we know the western face here is the what we call the third dimensional world, what most people think of as reality or all that is. So this current is leaving this face. And so it shows us one way or one path that we're able to depart from the western side or the western face of the cube of space. Now, think about this for a moment. There are two other ways on the periphery that we're able to depart the western side, the western face here. What are they?
Temperance by way of temperance.
Yes, would be temperance to meditation, right? Sati, the star, that takes us away from the western face. And down here below,
The moon.
the moon key, exactly. So we have these three primary means of departing from what we call the world or the western face. We can do it by the moon key, which is the intelligence of sleep. So we can go to sleep. We can go through transition, and we can also utilize meditation. These currents take us more deeply into reality and not just being occupied with the things of the world, the Western face. So that's kind of interesting. In the Book of Formation, let's see here. This is what it said of this current path. So in the Westcott interpretations, what we're using in this course, or in the Sephir Yetzirah, it says the 24th path is the imaginative intelligence. And it is so called because it gives a likeness to all the similitudes which are created in like manner, similar to its harmonious elegancies. In short, you can remember that this key and current is simply the imaginative intelligence. So please take a few deep breaths and center. And on exhalation, using your intention, let go of all that does not serve you or others. and focus on our key and current for the week. Everyone, please unmute yourselves one at a time and share what occurs to you in the current of noon. Fish.
Just a quick comment and actually two little notice things. First, the slight smile always gets me on the skeleton. It's just kind of just there's something about it where it's just like yeah, just part of the you know all part of the process. Just skeleton doing their work. But I did want to note because actually I never really noticed this before, but that it looks like there's a small boot and then the
Mhm.
small skiff and the
Yeah,
small boot. Yeah, I mean, is that a boot? Is that what that is, or what's
it
the?
is. Yeah, yeah,
Okay, yeah, yeah, and just that, and it's interesting. I mean, I guess what's interesting is just and actually, I mean, even with that small boat or skiff, um, and just how that's, I don't know, just the whole thing with it being gray, and just the gray being that of wisdom, and so just I don't know, just something about I don't know, something about that. It
it's
just kind of
really interesting, isn't it?
yeah, because I just because looking at that, it's like going with you know, I mean, there's already so much going on, but with
Right.
the 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 skiff going down the river, this blue river, and so I think of like mercy and love and all that, and
Mhm.
as it's going down, it's almost kind of like okay, it's the our friendly skeleton here has traveled down there, whatever it may be, or whoever, even the was the subconscious and self-conscious or whomever they've traveled there, and now it's like okay, I've gotten off the boat, and now you know
Yeah,
what I mean, right? And they're
yeah,
doing that,
yeah.
or like the skeleton itself doing it there, or just whatever it is. Where long story short, not to ramble on about it, but just basically just there's an element of traveling or traversing or distance of in some way, and then parking or saying okay, arriving at a certain point, and then the action taken up in a happy, pleasant. This is all part of the process. You can really start going off on that part, um, and just and then on top of all that action being like, I mean, I always look at this and think of like clearing away. Just the clearing away of
Yeah.
you know all the one does not serve and all that. But anyways, I'll
Right.
just stop there on that. But yeah, just little. I don't know. I don't think I've ever noticed that boat before, but in the boot. So, but
Well, it is
anyways,
peculiar. I think it's
yeah.
unique to this particular deck, the Hoon deck. As far as I know, is the only
Mm,
one that incorporates this imagery, which is
hmm.
really interesting. Well, I'll just
Yeah.
look. Also, to your point, in Hebrew and Kabbalah, the this key is associated with motion and walking.
Mm, hmm. Hmm. There's a lot of that in this.
Mhm.
This card definitely does have that sense of motion and activity. But yeah, so I'll stop sharing there.
Nice.
But thanks.
Thank you.
The
Well,
skeleton and the two
go ahead.
bubble, the skeleton and the two bubbles are like a trinity.
Yeah.
Well, the woman is the subconscious and the man is the self-conscious, and the skeleton seems to fill in for the superconscious.
Excellent. Yes.
On that note, that's a great observation. I'm thinking, I'm trying to think of the other cards. Or is it because like right there's the deceiver key, there's the lover's key, and then this key right here of where. Because I'm trying to think of where it always seems to be like the woman's on one side, on like the left, right, and the man's on the right. I don't know if that had any significance or anything, but
Oh,
it's
it
just more
absolutely
of
does. And the
yeah,
judgment key has the
hmm
same
right,
pattern. Yeah.
yeah,
And this on the 3 by 7 layout, this key occurs above the judgment key.
hmm hmm So yeah, just Victoria said it's just a little bit of a call out where I'm like, oh, that's right, all of them have that same thing. So it's really cool.
What what comes to mind with me is it's the time of harvest. You have the scythe, or what? How would you call that? The scythe. What
Scythe?
he's
Scythe.
holding.
Hmm.
What is it?
Scythe?
Yeah,
I think it's a scythe.
the instrument. Yeah, the scythe that he's holding. He's is used in harvest at the time of harvest. So
Mhm.
transition is the point where you harvest yourself to this point, and now you move on. So it's like what we say in the Bible about the point of what you plant, so shall ye reap. So this is the reaping, and therefore the transition occurs.
Hmm.
That's interesting because the plants are new.
Mhm.
It's not like there's a field of wheat that's being harvested, but it's being harvested, yet it's also new, the new growth there of the plants.
Yeah, going into newness. It's um,
We don't see what's been cleared away here, though.
yeah, the dark earth, the rich earth is there's very you could say it's after harvest. He's now moving on because there's just a few green leaves there and the rich soil has been cleared.
Hmm.
On the other hand, he's turned this physiologically is not possible. The structure of the skeleton, because his legs are going forwards and his from his hips to his neck, he's going facing left, and then from his neck with his head, he's facing us. So you have a twist in 2 points on the spinal cord
Yes.
taking place.
A
Uh,
spinning, a
mhm,
spiral.
mhm.
It's actually, yeah, a spiral, not straightforward. It's almost like turning around.
Something I noticed from this card is the stepping in to the card and the reaching back into the card. You know, definitely transition. I find it interesting that you're using that word instead of death or anything else. There's a lot of motion in this card. What with the river off into the sunset, and well, just the action of harvest itself. The comet in the top left is interesting. Uh, I don't know if there's any particular reason for it to be on the left or upper corner, but um, I find that a very interesting motion.
Or it could be sunrise.
Hmm.
It could be, but on this particular card, I would say not.
A new horizon.
Right?
Well,
And the
that's
sky
one
is
way.
red, though. You are right about that. The
Yeah.
sky is red. So when is the sky red? At the sunset or the sunrise?
Red sky at night, sailor's delight. Red sky in the morning, sailor's warning. So that's what I was thinking when I saw this. The sun, I do think the sun is setting here on this life, but I think it's leading to the delight of the next life. The foot stepping in, the hand, I think the hand is reaching to help them move to the next plane or the next life, the next phase of life.
I think we just all reach back to our past life, and I just see the beginning and the end in those instances, and the fact that river runs into the sun gives me the concept of a setting sun rather than a rising sun.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Okay. It's
Just oh,
same
sorry.
thing. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say something that I mean, actually, kind of two things that it sparked. Something first that Fargo touched on with regards to kind of like the harvesting element of it, or like the clearing away. And yeah, there it is an interesting card of this kind of like both actions going on because the part that the find interesting is that the that device on to the right of the scythe, yes, the scythe right there, that that looks like, and if I'm not mistaken, again, it's been a while since I've been in the garden, but that type of device that looks like something to prepare a ground because part of the thing with the clearing away. It's like on one hand, it's like, yes, there's a harvesting, but there's also just kind of feels like a preparation element as well of it. So it's kind of like the kind of like because that device when you're kind of like rolling on a field to kind of prep the ground, if you will. So there was just that element. So kind of that both of harvesting, what's come, and even the newness, right, of these things that are there, but then also preparing for what's to come and doing the work for preparation as well. So kind of just that double thing going on. Um, and one and to one other note with regards to the that thing that Patrick pointed out, the upper left hand corner. That I mean, I look at it like that's the tattva, right? That tattva of spirit with the white. But what's
Yes.
interesting though is that the design within it, and just what kind of this is just kind of going out in left field of like what's coming up for it is just that it's the because that little thing's always kind of it's I've been curious about it because within that sphere, that little egg, that little tattva there, it's like you have those five offshoots of that smaller one within it, right? So it looks because like at first glance, it looks like oh, it's designed of like to me like oh, it's a basic plant or a fern or whatever. But the fact that it's got the smaller tattva inside, and then those five streak offshoots, right? So I can think of like the five senses or the five sheaths or the five, what you can start getting into that. And then it encapsulates within that's contained within that larger egg tattva thing. Like I always found that to be a very fascinating design for it. And I don't know if anyone can speak on that because I'm not, I don't know. I'm just purely looking at it going like I haven't given it too much thought until now, but it's always that design's always been interesting there of like I'm thinking of like a Russian doll, but just nature of like spirit itself. But again, that's a
It's a good
whole separate thing.
a good pickup, Easy. So we know the oval is the tattva of what?
Spirit.
Spirit,
Hmm.
yes. When we have what's called a double tattva, we take the inner symbol and the outer symbol. So what this means is this inner tattva, this is the spirit of spirit.
Mm. Hmm. Hmm.
Very pure. It's also white, and it shows the five elements plus the spirit.
Hmm.
And this is a seed. This is a spiritual seed. It's a seed of light that
Mm.
gives generation to the light body that's
I
being
think
cultivated.
The five is the quintessence, which is the four elements, and then man, with the head, a symbol for mankind, which is the intelligence,
Yes.
the awareness, self-awareness. So the quintessence, so the seed within the seed, and it's permeating with the five arms, the second seed. So it's almost like pre-creation, but it's just beginning to create,
So
to manifest.
I'd like to point out that this is where the fool is looking, where the seed is. And
Mm.
this is the only other key that has the white rose besides the fool in all the arcana.
I always see the water flowing through as the stream of consciousness coming out of the card.
The Empress key.
No,
High
the
priestess.
high priestess.
Oh, High Priestess. Yeah.
Yeah, so that stream of consciousness, I call it anytime I see a stream of water, and it's equidistant when it goes to the sun, it's the same width as the sun.
Hmm.
So awareness, consciousness. And the sun is bright. It's like turning on the light.
Hmm.
So all the memories, which is what this stream of consciousness contains, are getting a nice chunk of light.
So
And yeah.
I just want to point out in Jewels of the Wise, since we were discussing it. So it's always interesting, wherever the sun is setting in the world, from another perspective, it's also rising. The sun is always simultaneously setting for some and rising for some, depending on where we are in relation to it in our path and journey. In Jewels of the Wise, Holy Order Man's, on page 150 on this, it
Yep.
says, the rising sun in the eastern background refers to Tiferet, the sixth sphere of the tree of life. What outwardly appears as death is but moving into the sunrise of a new day. When yesterday passes, tomorrow is born. Yet he is walking more nearly southward, away from the dark of ignorance and the unknown, toward the dawn of higher consciousness and enlightenment. So one way you can look at the keys is east above, right? West below, north over here on this side, and then right south here. So he's moving towards a southern direction. So north, south, east, and west. Yes. That's one way to orient yourself when you look at the keys together. And it also helps you understand their patterns and connections in relation to one another on the tree and the cube. Anyone else?
I think it looks like the water is flowing from the sun. It looks like it's coming, like Margot said, consciousness is it's actually coming back this way. It looks like to me. I don't know. That's just what I think. And that the soil very answer for fertile for the growth after the life. It's fertile ground.
Mhm. Definitely.
Yeah, the black of the Ansapor, it's being nurtured by the stream of consciousness.
It's really interesting that the super conscious being that everything, that all the body is supported by, here is the skeleton, leaves the white rose. What do you make of that?
I think he's smiling because he's appreciating that white rose.
Okay. Nice.
the purified desire. So it's the understand it comes with the understanding that that white rose is his essence, his own being.
Yes. Yes.
And the
Yes.
skeleton is white. So here is the essence, like you said, Jesse, of creation down to brass tacks.
Yeah.
All the flesh is gone, but the foundation is white, the skeleton. Without the skeleton, we couldn't function. So it's a foundational figure. And it's portraying joy,
Mhm.
purity of, yeah, the white. Because, yeah. And then the seed is the same thing. It's white. I'm just bringing to mind all the little white objects.
Have Have you ever noticed the smile looks like a fish skeleton?
It does.
I say skeleton. I was going to say a filleted fish.
Right.
Somebody's already had the taste.
It's interesting that the stream suddenly turns toward the sun. Like the skeleton turns, it's like they've both turned the same direction.
Yeah. And the thorax is facing the sun.
Yeah.
Mhm. The heart is facing the sun.
Mhm.
Center where the heart is facing the sun. Yeah, very
Mhm.
good observation. Everything else is going the other direction, and yet the heart is facing the sun.
If we consider the hermit key, which connects to the sun and the tree of life, which is memory, we can imagine that memory, if you will, that remembrance flowing through the sun as the light shines into the field of understanding, or the fertility of the ground of understanding, or the foundation, and towards the subconscious side of the key, where the foot is the vessel formed in wisdom. There's the garments and the clothing. It's very much about the foot on the left side of the key, what you're standing on, which points to foundation, subconscious. And on the right side of the key, we have the hand, or the tools that we use to manipulate. Um, Something about the showing how the two are at work here in this process. It shows that with the feminine and the masculine side at work. But I wanted to ask that question. Is this the subconscious and superconscious that we're looking at on the left and on the right?
So traditionally, the head of the masculine head is the self-conscious, and this would be the subconscious, and the figure above them both is the superconscious.
Okay. So the
It's
self-conscious is crowned here.
yeah, with these, yeah.
Question. The letter here, isn't that mem?
This is the letter nun. It means fish. It comes after the letter mem, which means waters. So, in short, in a very simple way, what we're speaking of is the life essence within the waters of the subconscious.
When we remember ourselves, we're home. Right now, we're all in a state of partial forgetting. And when we remember ourselves, that's That's rather major. And so all of this is to remember ourselves.
We have to recognize that it is not within our limited capability to hold that superconscious at all times, so that to remember ourselves in totality, we wouldn't be within these
Yeah.
forms.
We go in and out.
Yeah.
The hand, if we think of things, if we think of the hanged man where he had his hands behind, he was in meditation and he had his hands behind his back. So to show that he's not using them. The hand is usually thought of in terms of grasping, but grasping is not just grabbing something, it's grasping by understanding. It's not just physically grabbing onto something. It's also to grasp is to understand, to quote, get it. The aha moments can be
Aha.
symbolized by that. Are you having an aha moment, Patrick? Are we? I think that's what we all are doing right now, having aha moments. We are
We're
grasping.
remembering.
Yeah, remembering. And the foot makes me think of walking on the path, on the way. It's an active thing. You have to actually do something. It's not an intellectual, let's read a lot of books and we'll get there. You actually have to put it into an active part of your life, which demonstrates how much you grasp.
Let's start reading that book of activity again.
Gee, these guys don't all know about the book of activity. That's another
Saturday
one.
morning.
Ah,
So this card, you talk about remembering who we are, seems very much the emancipation of the physical world, our physical body, because all that's left is the pureness of remembering who we are and then transitioning and to the next, to the next place, to the next phase, to the next body, which is all under us in the fertile ground. Doesn't it seem very much like an emancipation of the body? There's no
Yes.
skin left.
Definitely liberation.
Yeah,
yeah, there's no separation, so you actually go back and forth. You have all available to you. You don't just go somewhere. You can be really here and there.
it does feel liberating too, like
Yeah.
free from the constraints.
So
Yeah.
That's
notice
why
what
he's smiling. He ate the fish. That's just what skeleton is left.
however whatever it brings up on you, notice it when you work with it this week. If you and learn allow yourself to trust yourself more and more, to trust that the self that has brought you to this exact moment will continue to lead you and evolve you and assist you.
When you said evolve you, it also involves you
Mm.
in its life more consciously. It's your best friend.
Mm-hmm. It absolutely is.
Come along with me.
Right.
That's kind of cool.
Okay. Anyone else? Or we're gonna move forwards and wrap this up. Anyone else have anything they want us to say or share?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
So, so we're looking at transition from one stage into another, so that it all relates to the spiritual path, of course. And there's a time at which a point on the path that we come to where everything that we thought we had, like abilities, that they have to die. It's a point. It's kind of like a point of maximum uh, convergence or constriction, kind of like a Venturi tube, where it's the straight gate.
Mm.
It's like the eye of the needle where the camel has to bend down and get unloaded and go through the narrow gate and then, can take on his burden once he gets on the other side. So that's the kind of thing. And, because of the scythe and, the idea of harvesting, that's like a direct reference to what Jesus was talking about, where you don't try to pull the weeds out of the garden. You wait and let them come up with the grain, and then you cut it all down, and then you can separate it. So, but there is that point on the path where it's darkness, and this on the cube, this is going into the north, so that's darkness, and it's also like the point at which Jesus was saying, my God, why have you forsaken me?" There's that point on the path where everything goes dark. You think you're worse off than you were when you set foot on the path. It comes for everybody. Everybody feels that. You feel worse off than you were before. And I think that's what this card is symbolizing. So if we place it in the tableau, considering the tableau as like this pictorial map of the spiritual path, it's that point. It's that point when we feel like there's nothing, and that feels like death, you know. That's the transition phase. Because the key right afterward is temperance. So that's where we learn to balance those forces. So that's what I'm seeing. I hope it helps.
Oh, definitely. I like
Yeah.
that a lot. Definitely has a lot to do with death of the false ego.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to get to the point where you don't know, and then you get an answer. I don't
Yeah,
know.
but you don't do that on purpose, though. That it just happens, right?
Oh, you're in a situation and you just don't have an answer, and then you get an answer, but you don't have it, and you don't figure it out, and you're not getting anything, and then you get something.
Sometimes it's a little more painful.
Yeah, but it gets less and less painful.
It takes a lot of
Hopefully.
it
It
takes a
gets
lot
less
of
and
trust, right?
yeah, yeah. You just
Yeah.
go, oh, look at that. That's a mess.
What
Well, fine. Okay.
I think it helps to remember whatever we're going through that something has supported us
Mhm.
no matter what.
Yeah.
Okay.
They die daily.
Yes, exactly. That's an excellent point, Patrick. Yes. We die daily that the self may become more present, right? And the outworn self, the self that no longer is of service, right? That fades away. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I see it as always present. We've just turned away. It's always present. And
Yes.
that, yeah. So we do the ups. I used to tell people we go and do our ups and downs here instead of this major thing that
Mm.
no, we get to the point, yeah, because you don't change without transition. You don't change without change.
Yes.
but it's not as catastrophic.
And you
Well,
can never
I'd like
cling.
to add a quick thing
Yeah.
about that unknown, that you don't know what's going to happen. It's like, I have a friend who, in situations that this card reminds me of, she always says, the unknown is love.
Mm.
And I think of that rose sitting on the green bush, and it made me think of that's the rose is sort of like the unknown future.
That's very nice. It's really a profound statement. Thank you, Susan. In Hebrew, the Hebrew word for love and unity is equal to the number 13.
You can never cling to the past. The more you do, the more pain, the more you suffer.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your light and insights on this week's key and path. So, this key in many decks is called the death key. The Whom deck more appropriately calls this the key of transition. So, looking at a couple of quotes here, some quotes from Eckhart Tolle. It says, "Death is a stripping away of all that is not you. And the secret of life is to die before you die, and to find that there is no death in the way we think of it." Now, on the tree of life, the transition key connects the sphere of desire or victory to the heart. Now, remember that this key is the key of an intelligence of Scorpio. Okay. So we have Scorpio there connecting the heart on the tree to victory.
This is like where you must lose your life in order to save it or to find it.
Yes.
Amen.
Another excellent quote that pertains to this path. Thank you, Michael. So as you work with the 13th key this week, ask the self to assist you to let go of whatever needs letting go and to bring you your true heart's desire. Since this is the last outer current we're going to be covering in this series on the cube, I want you to really dig deep, double down on asking the self to assist you to wake up in your dreams. Don't settle for less here. Ask the self. Don't let go of that. Ask and receive it. The self will guide you in the way for you to go, always. And just so you know, this key particularly is quite powerful in aiding us in doing just this. You simply must trust in the self. If you desire, in your core practice each night, if you have been slacking on it, get back on it. Bring your key 13 at your bedside, have it there. Look at it for 5 minutes before you go to bed and hold it in your inner vision and knowing before you go to sleep. You can alternate that every other night with this image if you like. This shows the Hebrew letter Nun inside the Tattva of spirit, which is also the Vesica Pisces. Does anyone recall what Vesica Pisces means? It means the
Vessel.
bladder of a fish. Okay. Thank you all for your light and participation. May we all be blessed this week in the guidance and presence of the self as we immerse ourselves in the imaginative intelligence. This concludes this portion of the fish, lucid dreaming in the cube of space, and the floor is now open for any questions or comments.